Today I'm going for our first run in the Saucony Endorphin Pro. .50 miles, 7 minutes, 50 seconds per mile, 154 beats per minute today. Going out for a moderate paced run today with a little bit of a speedier portion in there so I can put the Endorphin Pro through its paces. Before I get to my thoughts on that shoe though, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me. No one's going to reimburse me for the purchase price, and no one's going to pay me to make this video. No one's gonna get a chance to preview any of my thoughts or footage before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube either. But now with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Saucony Endorphin Pro. This is a shoe that I've been waiting for a very long time. I'm very excited about it. It's a high stack height carbon plated marathon racing shoe from Saucony that we've seen teased for a very long time. And it's something that I also saw in person, not in hand, but on the feet of marathon racers when I was down in Atlanta for the Marathon Olympic trials, a seeming eternity ago back on February 29th. Now, what do we have actually in this shoe? What we have is a very high stack height shoe, 35 millimeters in stack height in the rear with an 8 millimeter heel drop. Within that is the foam, which is Power Run PB. Now, this year, Saucony's come out with Power Run and a couple of variants of it. We saw Power Run in the Kinvara 11, Power Run Plus in the Triumph 17, and now we've got Power Run PB in the Endorphin Pro. And sandwiched in all these layers of Power Run PB is what they're calling the S-Curve carbon fiber plate. On the outsole, we have a very thin amount of rubber and a very judicious application of it. One other thing that I've noticed is that the rubber is thinner in this midfoot area and thicker in the higher wear areas in the heel and in the forefoot. But also in conjunction with that thinner layer of rubber, there seems to be like a little bit of a arch underneath here where the arch of your foot is. And I'm not sure if that's intended to give more support to the arch structurally, or if it's part of what Saucony is calling the speed roll. Now, I don't think that they have real strong rocker technology kind of in this, not like a meta rocker, but the S-roll is what they're going to be using to make sure that all of this stack height and the carbon fiber plate don't get too bogged down in the gait cycle and can keep moving smoothly. Up top, we have probably one of the best uppers that I've seen come out from Saucony. Saucony tends to make really comfortable uppers, but for me, a lot of them are very hot. This one has minimal padding anywhere in this shoe, and the upper in the toe box is relatively roomy, although it is still a racing shoe, and a very comfortable engineered mesh. Probably the closest that I think an engineered mesh can get to having like a knit type of feel or that booty type of construction. The tongue is just a very thin piece of stretchy material that's also very well ventilated. Lots of lace loops in case you need to dial in fit. I fit into this shoe really well. I went true to size on mine, size 9, as I do in almost all of my shoes. And the upper up top in what they're calling form fit was really nice, very comfortable, very breathable. I'm going to enjoy running in this shoe in a lot of those summer temperatures that are, I think, finally starting to hit here in Chicago. So what was it like to run in all of this stuff? I will say that I was very surprised by this shoe. When I first stepped into it, I was expecting something really soft and almost squishy, but instead it felt really firm and unstable to stand in. I felt like there was a lot going on in this area of the shoe, just standing around, walking around in it. Now, this isn't a shoe meant for standing around and walking around, but it is something that I noticed, and I was very concerned in those first few steps getting from my house down out toward the elevator and outside. It felt like there was a lot going on touching my arch, kind of like in this area, and pressure in ways that I don't normally feel things pushing up at me, and kind of in this area of the shoe. Now, my experience with Saucony, although it's been a little bit different this year, but previous experience with Saucony is that they like to hit a little bit of stability in all of their shoes. A lot of times playing with the densities of the foam, kind of giving you like a medial side kind of posting. So it's stiffer in the midsole. And I was worried that that was going to be going on here. The reason why that would worry me is because that tends to give me problems with these shoes as I put in some more miles in it. It just sends vibrations up my leg in a way I think that causes some kind of joint pain after certain amounts of time, which is something that happens to me when I run in stability shoes. So I was worried about that. But once I was able to finally get started running in this, that sensation kind of went away. And I was hit with a different kind of surprise. I thought then, okay, well, maybe this shoe, though it seems a little bit weird to walk around in, once we get moving, we're going to be loving it. It felt like it was a little bit heavy and a little bit constrained of a shoe. I felt very stiff in it. Not that the midsole material was stiff, although it's stiffer than, I would say for sure, than the Triumph 17 is, and stiffer than the Kinvara is. It was a stiff foam, although not uncomfortable, but I also felt like the shoe itself was very rigid. It wasn't giving. Nevertheless, my strides ended up being relatively smooth. Like I didn't feel jarred or uncomfortable in the gait cycle. It felt pretty good. It felt like the shoe was working with me, and I did feel overall really smooth. There was a portion that I went a little bit faster, doing a little bit of segment hunting on my run today, and that's where the shoe really seemed to shine, and that's what makes a lot of sense to me because this is a marathon racing shoe. Although for that portion, I was running at faster than my 5K pace, and so that's when I felt like I was really starting to load the shoe in a way that it was meant to be loaded. And so I was telling you guys how it seemed like it was a little bit stiff of a shoe. You want that kind of rigidity when you're talking about a race shoe, when you're talking about a shoe that has a carbon fiber plate in it. So that way when you're hitting the ground at those faster paces, you're really putting a lot of force into the shoe. And when it's stiff and a shoe that like doesn't really bend that easily, and you suddenly put a lot of force in it, that force has to come back somewhere, and it's that pop back that gives you that push off feeling or the benefit of that carbon fiber plate as you're moving a little bit faster at those race speeds. And there it felt great, but it didn't feel like I was expecting it to feel. What I was thinking I was going to get was a combination with a shoe that looked like this, a combination of like the old Ultra Boosts that were super squishy and comfortable, and then something that had a real spring in it, so you would smush into the foam and then get launched forward with the carbon fiber plate. That's not what I got here though, in terms of when it felt great to run in the shoe at speed. What I felt was power. I felt power in the shoe, but a subtle kind of power. The power that you kind of feel like when you're running slightly downhill, when you've got like a little bit of a tailwind to your back, you're running, it feels easy, it feels great. You're not really sure why, but it's definitely different than normal. That's kind of the best way that I could describe running in this shoe. It reminds me the most, if I'm going to compare it to another shoe, and I know you guys are looking for the comparisons, it reminds me the most of running in the Hoka Carbon X, a shoe that is extremely smooth to run in. I don't feel like I'm getting like that pop from the carbon fiber plate or that real push from it, but it's there. And the proof is in the pudding. And when you run in it, it's smooth, it's easy. You could take it for lots of miles and push it at harder efforts, and it feels great. And you're getting that support in a, like almost like a subtle way. It's easy to almost forget that it's there, but when you're looking down at your watch and you're looking at how hard you're working, it feels like you're getting a little bit of a benefit from it. It's helping you out and maintaining those faster paces. So this shoe, it's a little bit of a mystery to me. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it yet. I definitely need to put a lot more miles in it. I definitely need to put some more marathon pace miles into it. But after today's first run, I'm surprised and pleased with it. So tempering my enthusiasm for it so far because I need to put in more miles on it, but I wanted to make sure I get this first run, first impressions video out to you guys so you can know what it's been like. I do think that it's a very interesting shoe. I think it's going to be a very good marathon racing shoe. It's not going to be like a boosty shoe though. That's not what I'm feeling. And it's definitely not going to be like a Vaporfly replacement. That's not the feel that this shoe is going for either. It's something very different than that. Those are my thoughts so far on the Endorphin Pro after just today's first run. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions or want to talk about your experiences more down there. I'd love to now get some feedback from you guys in terms of those of you who have run in it. What are you guys thinking? That's all I have for today. Everybody, thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?